Yeah, so here we are going to address the challenges and the capital raising opportunities for SMEs. So SMEs are constantly seeking growth, and the access to capital remains one of their biggest challenges. So from that perspective, what are the most significant capital raising opportunities for SMEs, which are available? And we can start with Harsh from Lendingkart.
Sure. Thank you guys. Thank you for having us here. I think thanks Viral. In terms of opportunities, I would like to answer on behalf of lending platforms that we have evolved in the country overall. For SMEs today, I think one of the critical things, and all of us realize that money is important, right? Whether it's for expansion, for covering expenses, for growth and stuff like that. I think from lending platforms perspective, what we have tried to solve in last 10 years for MSMEs is one is access to finance, right? I think earlier it used to be restricted to only towns and cities where the banks had branches, where people would go submit their documents, get opportunities to raise money from banks, or it was otherwise from friends and families. But what digital lending platforms have done actually is they have built digital journeys across India, where now all over India, whether you're sitting in Jammu Kashmir or Kanyakumari or Jamnagar or Northeast, right, Guwahati, you can go ahead, apply online on the digital platforms and have access to finance. Similarly, in terms of access to capital, what all we have also done is that traditionally it used to be only conventional documents, right, financial statements, tax records and everything of a mid-size or a large-size SME or small SME who were able to provide those documents, who had access to capital. But now with a lot of alternative data like GST or transaction data or banking data, a lot more evaluation is happening on those alternative data, and access to capital is also getting provided on them. Furthermore, in these times, what's also happening is we had a set approach from traditional institution for kind of products that were getting offered to MSMEs overall, right? Either it's in terms of a cash credit or a term loan or anything like that. But now further digital lending platforms are also customizing these kind of platforms, right? Or these kind of products in terms of need for the customer. Today in the market, if MSMEs or small businesses go, they could find from a 1-month loan to a 3-month loan to even a 36 to 48-month loan and even longer tenured loan. So I think these are few things that lending platforms have done for making capital accessible to MSMEs.
Yeah, Dheeraj, over to you. If you can cover, how credit guarantee schemes helps MSME in terms of raising loans without collaterals.
Thank you, Will, and good afternoon, everybody. In fact, micro, small and medium enterprises are very important purveyor of the Indian economy. When we see the contribution of MSMEs in the gross domestic product, it is around 30%. And in the manufacturing sector, it is around 45%. And the export also, it is around 45.75%. It's a very important part of the Indian economy, and without growth of MSME, India cannot develop. And we, as an institution, CGTMSE was set up by Government of India, Ministry of MSME, in the year 2000 to extend credit guarantee for the credit facilities extended by the lending institutions to micro and small enterprises without collateral security and third-party guarantee. You may appreciate that micro, small and medium enterprises also provides the employment opportunity in large number. Therefore, in this year budget also, the focus is on the MSME sector. What happens in the micro and small enterprises, especially because it is purely either proprietorship driven, partnership driven, and it is like one-man show or two-man show. And when they go approach the bank, they are having bankable proposal, but they don't have collateral security or third-party guarantee to offer to the lending institution. Lending institution, as per the RBI norms and other norms, they cannot extend credit even if the bank is the project is bankable and viable without the asset coverage ratio, which is some norms are there. Then what happens? the credit guarantee steps in those shoes of the borrower and says that if it is bankable project, you extend the credit, and if the account slips into NPA in future, we will make good. And for that, we substitute our guarantee scheme, substitutes the collateral security, which is being not available to the micro and the small enterprises and third-party guarantee. And you will see that in the last 3.5 years, what we have approved the guarantee, it is around 55% what we have done in the last 21 years. Already we have completed 24 years of operation, and this year we are in the silver jubilee year. And as on date, we have already approved guarantee of 7.27 lakh crore and having 97 million units. The bankers and the lending institutions also get benefited by the credit guarantee scheme. Like even if the asset, the loan asset remains standard, they don't have to assign any capital charge, because there is no capital charge because it is a sovereign guarantee, and 0% risk weight is attached to the assets. And if the account slips into NPA, as per the RBI guidelines, no IRAC norms is applied to the extent of the guarantee coverage. So this is the supply side. And what happened earlier when our guarantee approval was not picking up to that extent, we have modified the scheme, some operational changes we have done. We have reduced the guarantee fee to the larger extent, and now we are issuing the guarantee as low as 0.37%, 0 to 10 lakh slab. And we have also issuing guarantee at liberal terms for the targeted section of the society like women entrepreneurs, SC/ST, person with disability, and the Agniveer, which are yet to come, but we have a scheme for that. We issue the guarantee by giving discount of 10%, which goes directly to the borrower. Means borrower is benefited, that is the demand side we are addressing. And the guarantee coverage is generally 75% in normal scheme, but for this section we are giving higher guarantee coverage of 85%. So we are addressing both the side, like MLI should be enthused to extend more and more credit. And I am happy to share that in year 2021-22, we have issued guarantee of 56,000 crore. Then in 2022-23, we have issued guarantee of 1,04,000 crore. And last year, that is 23-24, we have issued 2,02,000 guarantee worth crore. And when we reached first time in the milestone figure of 1 lakh crore, then the then Honorable MSME Minister has tweeted, and Honorable Prime Minister of India has also retweeted, and the Press Information Bureau also, the press release was given. And Honorable Prime Minister has appreciated the work done by the CGTMSE in guaranteeing the loans. Now, when our Honorable Prime Minister says that we have to become $5 trillion economy and we have to be at 2029 the third largest economy, it cannot be without the contribution of the MSME. And mind it, the credit requirement to sustain that level can only be achieved by the credit guarantee, because any loan which can be given will be sustained by the credit guarantee, because the credit requirement itself is variable, but the land, the collateralized lending, the land is fixed. India is having the fixed amount of land, and even the FD or the liquid security will also be to that extent will be limited. So then what will happen? The variable cannot be compared with the fixed. Then the only option available is that the credit that can be sustained to that level is through guarantee only, and therefore the government and at the policy level also, everything is through guarantee. And there is very successful example of that. During the COVID-19, emergency credit line guarantee scheme was there. For that 100% guarantee was given, and it was run by NCGTC, another guarantee institution which is under the Ministry of Finance and DFS. And it is very successfully, and India bounced back very easily by navigating through this COVID-19 pandemic. And Honorable Prime Minister also says that we have to be job giver rather than job seeker, because our population is also increasing and we have to increase the employment also. It can only by giving the we have to be job, and it gels well, our scheme gels well with this vision. Okay.
Over to Ketan, who represents Receivable Exchange of India. Would request him to throw some light on receivable discounting and how it helps the MSME sector.
Thank you. I come from Receivables Exchange India. My answer will be a little bit longish, but I'll just take. Yeah,
sure, go ahead.
So we talked about capital raising opportunities and what is important for an MSME. The MSME, the basic important is the fuel, which is the working capital. The working capital, the MSMEs always struggle for the working capital. And working capital basically is that when he's not getting the payments from the buyers where he supplied, right? So this particular platform, which is Receivables Exchange India Limited, is a TREDS platform. And why is it important for the MSMEs to know about it? And that's why I'm here. That MSMEs, normally when they supply to the large corporates, they don't get the payment on time. You know, so normally the large corporates always use the MSMEs as a bank. You know, so they might be having the payments, but they don't make the payment on time, although it is mandated that they have to do it within 45 days. So this platform is basically handling the issues of delayed payments. The delayed payments in the sense that, you know, you come on the platform. So this, the Receivables Exchange India Limited is a TREDS platform where you have the MSMEs which get registered, the buyers get registered, and the financiers are getting registered. Now, how does it work? The MSMEs uploads the invoices. Now the invoices are accepted by the buyer. And when the invoices are accepted by the buyer, it becomes visible to the financier, and the financier finances it. Now this is completely a without recourse program. That means the MSME, when he uploads the invoices and the invoices are accepted by the buyer, the MSME gives the payment which is without recourse. And that is the whole beauty. The risk is completely predicated on the buyer, on the other side. So that means if you're supplying to the large, big quality buyer, that means the rate of interest for that particular invoice will be much, much cheaper than what you will normally go and get it from a secured loan from your own banking system. So it is different from a bill discounting system. And just to talk about the figures, and the best part about the entire thing is it's without recourse. The rate of interest is completely predicated on the credit risk quality of the buyer. And it's completely, you know, that means you can turn it into cash. Just imagine you are waiting for the buyer to make the payment. The buyer does not make the payment. And then imagine on this platform, you come on the platform, you get it discounted, you get the payment on the third or the fourth day. It's completely digital. And how does it work? So, you know, the acceptance happens and the finances happen. And what is the volumes which we have done? You know, when we started 2017, we were doing volumes to the tune of something like 100 crores or something like that. Now the volumes have increased. So over the 3 years, over the 7 years period, we have done volumes to the tune of almost 3,70,000 crores. There are 3 platforms which are catering to it. Ourselves, we have done around 1,25,000 crores. Last year we did around 46,000 crores. This year we are doing around, this year we will be doing around 85 to 90,000 crores. Now, how does, you know, and we have some 30,000 suppliers which have got onboarded, which are supplying to the large corporates. So we have some 1,500 buyers which have got registered. Now the beauty of the platform, that, you know, it is mandated by the government. Government of India mandated that all the buyers above 250 crores, it was earlier 500 crores, they have to come on the platform and they have to start do the transactions on the platform. Now that level has come down to even 250 crores. So that means if your buyer to whom you are supplying, if he's a 250 crores company, they can register as buyers and they can come on the platform. The bankers, the biggest, the earlier issue was that the bankers were not interested in coming on the platform. But now we are seeing that the increasing financing is happening. So we have 65 banks which are coming on the platform and doing the transactions, depending on the buyer's credit risk over there. Now, what is the advantage for the bankers? The bankers, the biggest advantage, this is priority sector lending. So the platform is growing. So what I am trying to say that, you know, it is very important when you are talking about MSMEs, that you should be aware of what is the working capital, the fuel. And you should be aware that, you know, if this payment gets delayed, it leads to a lot of problem. And actually, when there was a report which was generated by GAME, there is an agency which is called as GAME, for mass entrepreneurship. They came out to clear thing that 10.5 lakh crore was the amount which is due or which is stuck into the delayed payment. That is almost 0.3% of the GDP. And this is the problem which we are trying to solve.
Thanks, Ketan. Over to Alok, who's from Reliance General Insurance. He would cover, risk and mitigation strategy around raising capital and how insurance can play a role in that.
Yeah, so, basically on this dais itself, there's a revolution sitting both in terms of, institutions like CGT, SME and, Receivable Exchange providing tech platforms for MSME to, access financing. And then there are companies like Lendingkart which are using new data, data solutions to, assess the capability of an SME. Correct me if I'm wrong. But where does insurance fits into it? See, one of the things which we are seeing for last 5-6 years. So apparently SME as a segment is the highest growing segment for us in Reliance General Insurance in terms of CAGR, in terms of annual CAGR. What we are specifically seeing, in last 2-3 years, there are almost 200 SMEs which are, also seeking capital markets to raise funds in terms of IPOs and all. And then there are technologies like GST, platforms like Receivable Exchange of India, which are sitting on huge database. Insurance always works on, concept of probability. And all of these data centers are providing us, probabilities to assess SME as a risk. And what it also does is that once a SME choose to get into a formalized economy structure, there are a lot of assets, there are a lot of turnovers, a lot of sales which start getting entering into their books. And what it does is it provides an SME an opportunity to take optimum insurance cover. There is a very famous anecdote of a company based out of Louisiana in USA. Louisiana, as we all of know, that it's very marshy. So they wanted to start a real estate project there, and none of the bankers were ready to fund the project because of the natural catastrophe risk which was there. So that company reached out to the insurer, and insurer possibly insured it at a higher rate, but that's where the thing started for the project finance to come in. That's where the, that was the trigger for the suppliers to start giving credit, and that project is now super successful. So the point is, even if you look at our data within Reliance General Insurance, even if you look at our data, we are seeing that the companies which are getting more formalized, when I'm saying formalized, they either regulatorily they have to get formalized, or they are choosing to seek capital market, hence they have to get formalized. As they are getting formalized, their understanding of risk is improving, and once we insure them, because we are very sure of what they are doing within MSME, we are underwriting it properly. It gives strength to financial institutions to further fund such companies which are possibly backed by insurance. This is like if I talk about traditional insurance product. Then there are new age insurance product wherein insurance is also in recent past have started dwelling into a lot of financial lines of insurance, which are somewhere in same same market as a lot of banks are. So there are new products like credit insurance, bid bond insurance, performance bond insurance, which is again giving SME the capabilities to go out and explore more opportunities. So that's my take on it.
Sure. Last but not the least, Akhil from Clear Tax would request you to touch upon tax strategies, optimization, which can help an SME in maximizing funding opportunities.
So thank you, ET, first of all, having me here. So basically, today there are like multiple schemes which are going on for MSMEs, SMEs specifically. The one part of that is like MSME loans, what we are getting, right? Apart from that, there is a emergency credit line, what is also being offered by government. But for gaining this, all these things, we have to, see that we are tax compliant, right? And for, having the tax compliant, we actually need some digital platform today, because everything is going digital, right? And if we are still working with, older norms, like we used to work on Excels, multiple Excels are opened up, we are collecting the data directly from, any source of accounting system or from ERPs, and then getting that data prepared in the government format. So that is a typically more challenging task today. So what I believe is a digital platform like of Clear can help you enable to do your filings on timely basis, because that is very, very critical nowadays. Because if you are not tax compliant, then definitely there are concerns going on. You cannot avail all these schemes. Plus, even investors today, if any investments comes in, or you are looking for any loan to be passed, even those particular banks partners or financing partners see that how your financial business is going, how is your actual data look like, right? And if your data is having any flaws, then there are concerns going on, right? So for being a digitally compliant, tax compliant, on any front, you have to actually use some kind of a digital platform, and what we offer today. And also, cash flow is one of the concerns which keeps on going on today in any organization. So there are like multiple options to actually improve your cash flows today. One of that is getting GST, early GST refunds. One part of that is that, and planning your tax management very, very early. Right, so that is another part of it. So by using Clear as a platform, what we offer today, you can actually have, do your ITC reconciliations very, very easily, and you can avail all these benefits, what I just talk about. So,
Sure. Thanks, Akhil. The next question is to Harsh around, preparing for investment pitch tip and advice around, do's and don'ts on fundraising, and when, SMEs pitch to companies like you for fundraising. So if you can cover that.
Sure. I think in our case, when you suggest fundraising, it basically means loan capital, right? Or debt capital. How should they go about raising it? I think what we have been guiding and what we have seen, from last 10 years, we've been part of the emergence of almost digital lending in the country. We've been fortunate enough to be the early innovators in that space and connect with MSMEs and understand them better. I think one of the critical gaps that we see over there is documentation, right? And when I say documentation, it is information about the borrower himself. That is the key over here. I think today, like all the esteemed panelists have suggested, we are staying in an age where information is the currency, right? And if he manages that information well, he can use that information in such a form and fashion to help him grow and everything. So in our case, what we have realized is that a lot of MSMEs are now transforming themselves into a proper, they are getting GST registered, they are doing banking transactions, they are paying taxes, they are being compliant on a lot of stuff, they are insuring themselves, they are using platforms like Receivables Exchange. And I think CGTSM is like a phenomenal thing. I think almost 80% of our portfolio also we register under CGTSME and CGFMU, which is again there. So I think all of these things are there, but the critical piece along for all of us is the consistency of information, the quality of information, the stability of information overall. So that I think the consumers or the borrowers have to be prudent in these days and times. I think with the aid of technology, a lot of all of this is getting solved. In the last panel also I heard that we are now calling this decade as tech decade, right? So in India also we have a lot of support system that has been built for small and micro businesses, whether it's in form of account aggregator for banking information. Now GST is coming. The government and the RBI have just launched a unified lending interface where all your data will become easily accessible for your basically KYC and identity and address kind of stuff. You will have, we already have India Stack and stuff like that, that's available. We have digital banking transactions now available. So all of that is visible. So my suggestion to the MSMEs is just that keep all of that on track, be prudent about it, and just think of it in terms of long term, right? That if you start investing in your information or quality of information right now, it will aid you for next 10, 20, 30 years while you run the business, build the business and grow it along.
Dheeraj, if you could, spare, couple of words or advice for an MSME to make them, lending worthy. So in terms of eyes of the financial institution, what is it that you look for, when they approach you for guarantees or they approach the banks for loans? So what are those two critical, areas which they should be, completely focused on?
In fact, in MSME, when they go, the biggest problem they face is the collateral, ability of collateral. Because the collateral is not available with them to offer to the bank, and the third party guarantee. These two things are very much important. And earlier when the bureau was not there and digital public infrastructure was not there, and when we joined in the SIDBI, what used to happen 25 years back, when the main thing they want to ensure the intention to repay the loan and the capacity to repay the loan. The capacity and intention to repay the full loan in the earlier years were purely based on the collateral part. That is, if they offer their own house, it will be even better, because the intention, they will never try to default. And the capacity itself was that when it becomes NPA, they will go and liquidate the security and they will recover the loan. But in the now, because all the digital footprint is there, the bureau is there, no borrower in normal circumstances will default intentionally, willfully, because otherwise the career, whole career, 30 years, for 35 years of that person will be finished. No bank or lending institution will lend to that fellow. That the one part. The capacity to repay now, because based on, because GST has come, the data is there, yes, the turnover is there, the sale is there for the existing unit, then the bankers are comfortable. The main problem they face is the collateral and third party guarantee. Here it comes into play our scheme or any credit guarantee scheme which is being run by the institutions to support MSME. And the credit guarantee assumes the role of collateral security, you can say, and third party guarantee, and it facilitates lending institutions have confidence in lending. In fact, we have also collaborated with various state governments like Tamil Nadu, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Goa, and West Bengal for some schemes, and Odisha also. And Gujarat also it is already approved, and in Andhra Pradesh also it is approved. Thereby they are collaborating with us. Whatever we are giving the guarantee coverage in their state, it will be there with our own funds. And we are giving higher guarantee coverage. Means the guarantee coverage is fixed at 95%. We are not giving 100% because RBI also says that there is always a moral hazard. So we keep at 95%. Now think, lending institution will have only 5%. So they are enthused. And we always make aware about the lending institutions and to the borrower also. Because there is guarantee, there should not be loan. There should be loan, then only guarantee should be there. So this type of awareness is there. We also accept that there is information asymmetry, and there is some awareness, lack of awareness among entrepreneurs, even at the lending institution at the field level also, because at the higher level they are very much aware about the schemes and the benefits of the schemes. And our guarantee schemes addresses the part, and it also helps lending institution in protecting their staff, because there is always a staff accountability part, and most of the time any fraud takes place because of the collateral security offered to them. In that also our guarantee scheme is quickly enforceable, and it also protects the staff. That's the all my take.
Just respecting the time and not keeping the audience away from lunch. Ketan, I would quickly request you to address points around effective and efficient management of receivables, and maybe with a use case.
Basically, it all comes down to who the buyer is, and whom you are selling. And today with Threads platform being there, it is the most effective way of how we can collect a receivables management, receivables over there. Because at any point of time, the health of the organization is also determined by the DSOs and how much outstanding the day sales outstanding is there. So what we found that, that if you were to really look at it, the way the Threads has progressed, a lot of companies have come back and told us that they have saved a lot of on interest cost. A lot of companies have told us that, now when we were getting the payment after 45 days or, 90 days or whatever, you're getting the payment on the 5th day or the 6th day. because the TREDS facilitates immediate payment, the next day payment. The moment the buyer has accepted a transaction, it goes into the bid mechanism and the banks, bid for it and they get the payment the next day. So that's what it is. So my piece of advice would be that, first of all, look at the buyer on the other side. You might have got a big order, but that order, the buyer might not be credit worthy, whether he's going to pay on time. That's the most effective thing over there. And if at all you have got a very credit-worthy buyer, then you should come on the TREDS platform, because that's where the financing rate of interest will be very much low. And again, it's without recourse, it's cash completely. So you can effectively circulate that cash many a times. So that's very important. So I think it all boils down to the working capital management.
Sure. Thanks, Ketan, for your views. Alok, if you can just share a thought process around, financial risk around expansion, and what are the insurance products available to manage that risk?
So, so one of the things which we, for like products like credit insurance and, financial risk covers which we are entering into as an industry, one pitch which goes with all the SMEs very strongly is that, for example, for your annual budgeting, you are planning to get into a newer market or you are getting into a newer supplier. What a product like credit insurance does is that it gives you protection to take that risk. We do our evaluations, we do our, vendor evaluations of the SME. And so we are giving two primary services. One is that we are doing that vendor evaluation on your behalf to tell you how, how qualitative your, eventual customer is and whether you would be getting money on time. And second thing is that we also give them the wings to, take that risk in newer market, newer opportunities. So this is one of the product which I see, which can definitely gel into the supply chain of SME, and, it gives them strength to explore newer opportunities. And then, of course, traditional aspect which still India has to start seeing as risk. One of the data point which I would, which I would like to leave for the entire audience to think about. So the natural catastrophe risks which are happening in this country right now, the economic value which is insured is less than 2%. So 98% of economic value which is lost to the natural catastrophes is still uninsured in this country. So this is the economic aspect for the entire country. But the more important aspect, if you don't go down granularly to the SME, a company, say for example, they have everything set. They have, terrific receivable discounting, they have terrific funding from CGT, SME or, Lendingkart. But what if a natural catastrophe happens and it challenges your entire, risk? So two aspects again, as I said, traditionally, standard insurance risk coverage has to be seen as, we often repeat this statement that you have to see insurance as a coverage, not as a price or not as a cost. So that is one aspect. And second is, of course, the financial line products, wherein, we can provide that kind of strength to SME to explore newer markets and, newer suppliers.
Yeah, Akhil, if you can touch upon, effective digital tools available for, tax management and how, that is helpful to MSMEs.
Right. First is like maximizing GST input tax credit is one of the part which, which is available today. So basically, you can do the reconciliations directly getting the data from government sources and plus from your ERPs. And, these data actually has to be reconciled on monthly basis, right? So that is first part of it. Second part is advanced tax planning. So basically, if I talk about advanced tax planning here, SMEs can actually better manage their taxes, on monthly basis using the digital platform, because there are very, very hefty, I can say, penalties today if you are actually filing the returns, lately. So that is one of the part which actually SMEs should take care of. The third part is leveraging the tax deductions. So today there are like, multiple tax deductions available when you go and you file your returns today. One of them is ATC for investments. Second is depreciation benefits under section 32. And third is, deduction through employment generation, which is again the part of 80JJAA. So this is something which you should be taking care of if you are an SMEs today. Another part is the tax loss harvesting is one of the part which I think any MSME or SMEs should take care of. So in this, basically tools like, what we have also right now, where, you can actually compliance, do the compliances part on like monthly or, on quarterly basis regularly. And again, like particular in business with functioning income to reduce their tax liability is one of the part which can be taken care of. So these are the specific pointers which any MSMEs should take care of, and there are multiple tools available in the market likewise.
Sure. Thanks, Akhil. Just in the interest of time, we just truncating the session, but leaving the floor open for a couple of questions in case we can get them addressed. Yeah. My question, just.
Hello. Yeah, I'm Saurabh Agrawal. I've recently set up a startup and we are into third year. And luckily we got CGT SME 20 lakh limit loan as well. It took, of course, a lot of time. The process was really cumbersome, but eventually we got it. And some people said, like, you're lucky that you got it. But yes, they had all the insurances, applied so that, there is no issue. And they were still asking for, okay, you have to associate a property to it. I don't know why, but they were doing it. But my question here is that, yes, we got the loan. And we started delivering things. But the major challenge as a startup, it remained that the payments do not come on time. While we put a clause that being an MSME, you have to make the payment within the 30-day window, I believe, 40-day window. But nothing is done on that front. Is basically one of the challenges which I face being a technical entrepreneur. We are into AI solutions. I somehow could not get hold of people. They always expect someone, you have to go there and ask for, sir, paise de do yaar. पैसे दे दो सर 2 महीने हो गए 4 महीने हो गए 1 साल हो गया. So how can you guys help us on that front, like how to streamline that part, or there's anything else that we can do to improve the cash flow, because eventually the funds are available. It seems that yes, they are available, but I'm not getting the funds back from the from my customers, like they have to pay.
Whom was the question addressed to?
So anyone like who can help me?
So that's where. So it all depends on the buyer on the other side. If you supply to a buyer who's not creditworthy, where the banks are not ready to take a risk, so that's nothing you can do, because you'll have to wait for your luck to, shower praises on you. But the other thing is, if you have a high credit for the buyer on the other side, up to a rating of triple B plus or whatever, you should come on the TREDS platform. And the TREDS platform is basically, so government is mandated that all the corporates above 250 crores have to come on the platform. So if it's a government agency or government, place where you're supplying, then they have to come on the platform. It's a mandatory requirement. But now there is an unwillingness from the buyers to come on the platform. But once they start using the platform, then it's a different story altogether. That then they want the rates to be much, much lesser than what it is. But that is where the problem is. That the entrepreneurs, then when they start supplying to the large corporates or the corporates, they don't get the payment on time. And eventually what happens is that you get suffocated, because how many times you will go to them. And that is the answer. The answer is TREDS. You have to get registered on the TREDS, and maybe you will have to get the buyer also getting registered on the TREDS. At the end of the day, you might say that, look, I'm ready to bear the interest, but the interest will be much, much lesser than what you will be incurring on account of working capital or overdraft facility or any secured loan. But answer is TREDS, and that is what, and it has been successful to a certain extent as of now.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks to the panelists for a very informative session.